Yeah, I think just on the heels of those comments, the first thing I have to say is that it's clear whatever it is, we're not doing enough. And recognize first that this is a humanitarian crisis. Like you said, I'm calling from New York. I'm in Queens. I'm a mile from Elmhurst Hospital. And we're in a moment in New York City where access to emergency health care is very uncertain. Healthcare workers and warehouse workers are being fired for asking for safe working conditions. And it's a safety that, you know, if they're exposed to the virus at work, they go home and carry that into their communities, to their families and their neighborhoods. And so it's really, we see the social impact of this and how I think it's been very humbling and really laid bare how fragile all of these various systems are and how interconnected they are. And then the second thing that becomes very clear into the question about investor perspective is that the financial system is totally tied up with this social system, and that there's really the health of these social systems is a prerequisite for a healthy and stable financial system. The markets have been kind of a whipsaw. It's hard to tell which day, you know, what's going to happen on what day, but clearly stable and sustainable returns require a stable foundation. And so like in this, just to be a little more concrete, like we see the importance of good jobs. So you need paid leave in order to do the social distancing that we need for public health. We see the precariousness of the financial health of households, you know, people who can't miss a paycheck. That will likely flow through the economy as they miss bills and rent payments. And the loss of employment, it means the loss of access to healthcare and necessary services. And now this huge new pressure on government provided services that have been underfunded for so long. So in this moment, how we've responded, we have worked on this investor statement to coronavirus response, and any investors that are listening, this is available on our website, and I can share a link in the chat. But it's a statement that has garnered huge traction in the investor community and has grown pretty organically over the last couple of weeks. We have over 280 investors and over about $8.25 trillion in assets on the letter. And what the statement calls for is, in this moment, we're asking for companies to, you know, do what they can. Obviously, this is different for every company, but we name 5 things that we think will be really important for stabilizing both the social and financial systems in this moment. And the first among them was paid leave, because without paid leave, like I said, you can't do any of the social distancing. The next is providing the necessary health and safety for essential workers. If people go to work, they need to have the equipment to protect themselves and their families and their communities. The next is to maintain employment where possible. Just keeping folks on the payroll if will help them keep access to their benefits and have a more stable system to restart once we can resume some business operations. The same goes for suppliers and customers. And I think Phil gave some great examples of companies that are forward-looking recognize that they don't want to have to rebuild their whole supply chain when this is over. And so maintaining the solvency of their whole value chain is really important. And then last, we mentioned financial prudence, which we say could be in the form of you know, adjusting executive compensation in this moment, just to demonstrate shared sacrifice and a true commitment to like stakeholder capitalism, which we've heard so much about in the last year. And also to limit buybacks, which I think we've been seeing more of, and now many companies are also cutting their dividends. So I think, you know, sharing in the pain for the sake of a more resilient system is actually a very forward-looking and appropriate investor perspective on this.